Yeah, my name's Simon COX. I'm the Director of Programming. I'm not Jennifer Bettker. Sorry about that. I joined Wikia quite recently, so I'm new to this position, and my background is from traditional games journalism. So way back in the day, I was on Edge magazine, and I went to the States and launched magazines for Sega and for the Xbox and so on and so forth. So it's pretty exciting for me to find myself at Wikia, which is really part of a movement that's kind of turning that whole journalism thing kind of on its head, really, and really coming at it from the perspective much more, obviously, of the community. So first of all, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Wikia, for those of you that don't know. We are the social universe for fans by fans. We have 110 million fans visiting our site every month. Our biggest vertical is entertainment. The second biggest is video games. And these are dedicated fans. We call them superfans. Many of them are contributing. Certainly, the vast majority of them are engaging with the rest of the community around the games and the things that they love, and helping to build out that community and make it much stronger. We have 390,000 communities, over 1 billion page views a month. I won't bore you too much with the details. You can see them all up there, but it's quite a staggeringly huge site, and growing all the time. So we are a little bit different to the other sites and channels that are out there. I just want to talk a little bit about how we're different. Obviously, to you guys, Facebook is hugely important. Twitter, those kind of social channels are very important. Those are very much about me. It's about personal expression, and it's really about broadcasting your likes to the world. It's very much kind of a broadcasting sort of way of thinking. On the other side of us, you have professional editorial, which is my background, which is, for years, my job was to tell people what I thought was great and what they should think was great. And of course, Wikia is much more about collaboration, about community speaking to one another, telling each other what they think is great, and really celebrating the things that they're fans of. So really, we're kind of a celebration engine in a way, and that's kind of how we, very much how we see it. So we're the natural growth leader in gaming globally at the moment. You can see we've been, our traffic's been climbing compared to traditional gaming outlets such as IGN, GameSpot, Kotaku, GamesRadar. We're much bigger than all of those, and we continue to grow. So who are our users? Well, the vast majority of them, obviously, are more on the hardcore gaming side or the mid-core, but they're extremely active gamers. They spend a lot of money on games, 6 times more likely to be the first among friends to buy a video game, 3 times more likely to have spent $200 or more on a game in a year, and 4.5 times more likely to advise others about video games. So they are influencers. And they do spend a lot of money on games. So this just gives you a little bit of an overview of the scale by genre on Wikia. Our community is constantly working to create this ultimate gaming resource, as we call it. And you can see a little bit here of some of these sort of quite staggering numbers. The shooter category, for example, Call of Duty, Battlefield, PlanetSide, Halo, Ghost Recon, 40 million page views a month, 50,000 contributions to that genre. RPG obviously is really big, MMO really big. I'm going to talk a little bit more about why those tend to be larger and about how that could relate to some of the gameplay and world building decisions that you make with your games in a moment. So the key really is how do you get, from our perspective, from having players who play your game to superfans who, when they're not playing your game, are evangelizing for your game and perhaps building out the world, writing about it, and engaging with the community. Okay, so as far as players are concerned, I think a lot of you guys are going to be thinking about how do you optimize the gameplay to make it addictive, to keep people coming back, and that's of course what you do in a big way. What we think is really important and what we're seeing from our community is that is that superfans are created by game world optimization and outreach. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what we think that means in a moment. But you know, simply put, game world optimization is giving people enough that they can grasp onto socially and from the community perspective, and they can write stuff up about that, they can engage with it more deeply, and really kind of build out that world. So here's how it works. This is the fan cycle as it works on Wikia. And so in the center, game design creates the environment. So with the right kind of game design, you can create an environment that fans will flock to and respond to and engage with. And once they do, you get these superfans, and they create content. And that trusted content supports your game, extends the world, and aids discovery, and that leads to new players arriving and engaging with the content and the community. That leads to players becoming superfans. They dive deeper into the world around your game, and that whole cycle continues. So it can be a very powerful engine, and it leads to those huge numbers that we saw earlier. Here's how we're a little bit different, again, to traditional media and journalism outlets on the gaming side. News and reviews websites are obviously quite interested in your games leading up to launch. Not so much once you've launched, usually. That's kind of thank you very much and good night from those guys. And that leaves you at a bit of a disadvantage with that community that visits that website when you come to release a sequel or an extension of your game in some way. The beauty of Wikia and fan-based content is it just keeps growing over time. So when it's time to launch a sequel or to engage with your fans again, these guys are still engaged. And in fact, they're actually growing all the time. So it's quite a powerful thing. So here's what it looks like when superfans really get into individual games themselves. So drilling down a little bit into some of the titles I'm sure you're all familiar with. Puzzle & Dragons Wikia has 5,000 pages at this point, 35,000 contributions. And at one point, in fact, that single wiki on Wikia was attracting 1 million users a month on its own, just that wiki, okay? Because people were engaging and they were writing stuff, and then they were engaging some more and they were writing more stuff, and it's kind of that virtuous cycle that I showed you earlier was really powerful. RuneScape obviously is huge, been around for a very long time now. What's very interesting about RuneScape is that we actually did a bit of analysis on that one and found that about 30% of those playing the game worldwide were visiting the Wikia regularly to re-engage with the game again while they weren't playing it. And that's the powerful thing about the Wikia culture that gets created, is that it really does allow people to think about your brand and engage with your brand when they don't have it in their hand and they're not playing the game. Again, that's a very powerful thing. So what environments do fans thrive in? This is not a real environment, by the way. They certainly don't live in houses like that, as far as I know. But well, there are certain things that we notice from our community. If you look at the biggest Wikias, and you look at the most engagement that we have, they're around games that have a number of things in common. And I'm just going to run through what some of those things are, and then you guys can have a think about whether that could be relevant to the games that you're creating. So complexity that scales. Puzzle & Dragons is obviously an interesting one for that. I know people who play Puzzle & Dragons, and they don't even really seem to know what they're doing. But they're still playing it. And I know people who are going to the Wikia and are looking at each dragon and trying to figure out all these matrices and kind of, how do these things interact? And they're really engaging with it on a very deep level because it's got complexity in it that scales. So it's easy to get into, but you can go very deep if you want to. Characters and relationships. So if you're going to have characters in your game, give them relationships to other characters. Our fans, our communities love that. They will write that stuff up. They will engage with it. They can't seem to get enough of that kind of stuff. I guess it's that sort of soap opera instinct. Lore and backstory is huge, of course. This image is from RuneScape. If you give the world a history, that gives fans plenty to write about and, again, engage with. Maps and a sense of space. So our biggest wiki by far is the Elder Scrolls wiki, which has over 10,000 pages. And it's no surprise that that's our biggest, because the world is absolutely enormous. There are many locations to talk about. And in this case, the fans actually created an interactive map and uploaded it to the wiki. And you can click on any of these areas and pull up the wiki information with the quests, and everything's kind of right there for you. It impressed us when they did that. It's pretty crazy. But that maps and a sense of space is very important because it gives people something to engage with outside of the game. Exploration and discovery. This image, which you can't see very well, is actually a secret area in World of Warcraft that's quite hard to get to, unless you know what you're doing or you've read our Wikia. Exploration and discovery is really key to the biggest wikias, the ones that seem to grow the fastest and have the most engagement. Again, because it gives people something to talk about and something to write up. It's almost food for them. Items, weapons, and loot. Okay, this image is from RuneScape. There are pages and pages and pages of this stuff on the RuneScape Wikia, and fans absolutely love it. They can't get enough of it, and they're adding to it all the time. Customization and crafting. The reason I have this image here is because I think SOE really get this really, really well. I don't know how many of you have heard about EverQuest Next and EverQuest Landmark, what they're doing with that, but it seems like it's very smart. It's part of this building trend that I think Minecraft has really sort of kicked off in a big way. But any time you can give the players the chance to customize anything or craft something, they're going to want to share it. They're going to want to show it off, and they're going to want to know how to do it better. So they're going to visit the Wikia for that, and that's going to engage them with the community some more. So that's the game environment. So that's if you have those features in your game, or any of those features, however lightly, you can start engaging the community a lot more. But once you've got that environment set up, the question is, pre-release and post-release, are there things that you can do to get the community, to spur them to start writing about your game and to engaging with it? Well, there are. So pre-release, this is what we call fan food. These are things that you can release to the community, on your own schedule, on your own timeline, that they will really react well to and create content around. So introductory videos are absolutely huge, we've noticed. It doesn't have to be, a 15, 20-minute video. It can just be something fairly short that gives people something to engage with. Gameplay videos, same thing. Character profiles. They love character profiles. They love speculating about characters, and also they love writing that stuff up. Game world outline. If you're not quite ready to share, the maps and the actual details of the world yet, get some sort of outline out there. Get some sort of introduction to the world, so people get a sense that this might be an exciting and deep experience for them to engage with. Lore and story, ditto for that. Developer Q&A sessions. This is not that hard to do if you have the time to do it. The community loves this stuff. In a Q&A session, either on video or in an interview as text, can really sort of live on for a long time on the wiki. People love it. Video interviews with creators. Again, if you have time and you have the budget, it doesn't have to be anything too fancy. But whenever they see your faces and actually feel like they're invited into the development process and into your studio and your workspace, that really gets them going. And exclusive asset reveals, and that's not that different to the traditional publishing model, of course, and journalism model. Anything you can give the fans that's exclusive to them, that shows that you love them and that you understand them and their needs, is a good thing ahead of time. So launch and beyond. So the object here, once you've launched the game, is how do you continue to engage the community? Well, the fan food for that is getting started videos. It's obviously you guys make a lot of casual games, so it's going to be they're going to be easy to get into to begin with, but it doesn't hurt to get a getting started video out there to really kind of show people what they could do, not just what they might immediately see they can do in the game. Character stories, maps and location details, start filling out some of this stuff that you might have seeded pre-release. Lore and story updates. So lore and story shouldn't be something that just kind of is set. It should be something that's living and that you can kind of update over time, because that, again, engages the community and keeps them going, keeps them engaged with you. Guides and walkthroughs, obviously that's huge. It's especially big for RPGs. Anything that's quest-based, walkthroughs are absolutely huge on our site. Items and quests, crafting guides, and of course, getting in on the forums and engaging with the fans sort of face-to-face, as it were. So here's what we've noticed on Wikia, the difference between having some of this fan food and not. So the dark blue kind of sort of crest there is the traffic to a site around launch without you kind of seeding it with this fan food. And the light blue is what happens when you kind of have these drops, like a chat with the dev and QA sessions, exclusive videos, and you can see that the traffic spikes and you get more fans. So on Wikia, we have something called WAM, which is our Wikia activity monitor. It's public, anyone can see it. We have a proprietary algorithm that generates this list, but it shows you the most active wikis on Wikia. And it really does show that if you look at it, a game's lasting power is in direct relation to the strength of the community behind it. We really believe that the bigger the community, the more the game will last, the longer the engagement lasts. So we do have quite a bit of data, obviously, about our fans, and we do segment them in other ways apart from by genre. And if you want to know more about these different segments, then you can talk to us, and we can help you with that, give you that kind of information. That's it, short and sweet.
Thank you very much. I noticed when you put the pages and active user counts up that the mobile was far less than the wired titles. Why do you think that is?
So I think it goes to what we were talking about with those sort of feature sets that really engage the community. One thing that we know for sure is that to have a thriving community on Wikia, you need to have a game with some complexity. That's important. There needs to be something people need to solve, or something they can engage with and chew upon, and a little bit of depth to really get these these wikis. There is a Flappy Bird Wikia. It has 6 pages. Of course, there's nothing to talk about, right? So I think that's probably, it's more to do with a lot of mobile games obviously are reasonably shallow experiences, and so there's not a lot for the community to engage with. That simple.
Okay. Any questions for Simon? Thank you, Simon.
You're welcome. Thank you.